Kash Patel, the sycophant who wrote a children's book about Donald Trump called The Plot to Save the King, featured him as like this like magician and like Nancy Pelosi's there. Anyway, he's the head of the FBI, maybe, which is cool. He has an enemies list. He regularly goes on white nationalist podcasts, and he says that the media will be gone after either civilly or criminally. And he's appointed another podcast host, or an actual podcast host, you know.
Thank you for clarifying. Yeah.
An actual, because he just goes on them, but this guy actually has a podcast, which
is really hard to do. Not anyone can just do that.
Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Super hard to have a podcast. 16th minute of fame. Super hard to have a podcast. We're basically government officials. We can oversee, you know, massive federal agencies, but I do feel like we are in a little bit of a monkey's paw situation here by getting what you wish for. Okay, so his name is Dan Bongino, and he's now the deputy FBI director. He's an insane person. He's incredibly violent, and he will most certainly be just like name searching himself on YouTube and getting this video removed right now. Just to give you a sense of how crazy it is to pick someone like Dan, this according to the Washington Post, the Bureau has never had someone from the outside come in as a deputy director. Never, said Ray Batvinas, a retired FBI counterintelligence officer turned author and historian of the Bureau. Quote, I believe Bongino has a steep, possibly insurmountable learning curve, which assumes that he would ever want to learn.
That feels very, very generous to just be like, this guy is almost too dumb to live. Dan Bongino, it does feel like this administration's version of Anthony Scaramucci, where it's like, we've got an Italian-American guy here. He's awful. And what are we going to do about this guy? I mean, I was, you know, sort of digging into the background history of this guy and his very square head.
So square.
Like looking like a prom date. I don't know why like all prom dates in my head have very square heads, but like prom dates that are guys who you went to the prom with but you didn't date, they have very square heads. So he has that energy to me where he's like, oh, he went to prom with someone, but they weren't dating.
It didn't
him,
work. Yeah.
You know? No. And there was never even a chance.
There was a friends rule. Square. And like the photographer didn't quite know how to capture it. In that photo. That is so funny. Well, here, I mean, so obviously you're going to be on the list now that we've made fun of his Lego man head.
Really shouldn't have done that. Sorry, Dan.
Should not have done that. But he's like gone after, I mean, this is a little bit about who he is. He's in the last decade, he's been a popular conservative pundit. He had, by the way, a brief stint at Fox News, but they fired him because he was too crazy for them. Just so we know that,
which is honestly, unfortunately, a sign of success.
I know that's exactly right. That's like, oh yeah, he's got great cred. Yeah, he's repeatedly called the FBI agents assigned to conduct the court-authorized search of Mar-a-Lago. Remember, for those documents that he refused to give back, he called for them to be fired. Fire every single person involved in the political targeting of Donald Trump and anyone they don't like, everyone, personnel, or policy. It's a fact. Fire everyone. It's the only way. The evidence of a corrupted FBI is everywhere. And he said multiple times, you think there are legitimate people with character running the FBI? Huh, that's hilarious. That was in 2022. The FBI is entirely corrupted at the management level, and it's filtering down now even to some of the rank and file. And so now he gets to be part of the FBI. Now, I have a lot of critiques of like Congress, you know. I don't want to be that. Like, I have a lot of critiques of the, you know, like the White House. I mean, I know either of us could do better on our worst day than Donald Trump and Elon Musk, but like the idea that you're like, you know what? This is just run so horribly. Like if me like talking about how the FAA or like TSA or something's bad and then suddenly I'm in charge of it, it's just like a real, again, what you wish for, careful what you wish for situation.
I mean, it's like, but I mean, JD Vance, did he not like call Trump a full-on fascist? And that certainly hasn't prevented his pathway to being the vice president of the US. It just like, it increasingly doesn't matter what you say. It just matters how you are perceived and how that can move the administration forward. And
actually the honestly, the only litmus test for being in the federal government at this point is how much you do hate the agency in which you serve.
Right, totally. Where it's like it doesn't matter the grounds on which you hate it. It doesn't matter if you actually know what you're talking about. It's just, have you expressed antipathy going back at least 400 days to this, centuries long, or not in the case of the FBI, but decades long institution that has all of its own issues. And it also feels weird to have to be like, I don't know, to see people caping for the FBI of like, no, the respected institution, the FBI, that's never done anything wrong. And
right,
that's as empowering people to do even worse.
I mean, this is what's funny about like anything happening to the FBI. I'm a little bit like, well, that'll be fun. Mm-hmm. Don't they kind of deserve it? But then also you're like, oh, he's just going to go after people who talk mean on internet about him because he's a podcast host. I mean, again, I'm trying to think of like podcast host to like agency pipeline. Like it's like if me talking about like, oh, CAL FIRE was run wrong, or like, our response wasn't good enough. And then suddenly like I'm in charge of CAL FIRE. I'm like, okay, I don't know, but
I mean, the FBI is famously incompetent, and it has, empowered a lot of really horrible stuff. I do think it does feel over the top to put, because podcast hosts famously cannot and refuse to keep a secret, which is one of the only things you are supposed to do
at the FBI.
Regardless of how horrific that secret is, you are supposed to keep your mouth shut, and that is not the podcaster way.
No, it is not. This is not the way. Let's hear from the man himself. Here's just a smattering of random things he said. This is him talking about power. He's explaining to his audience how important power is.
Right. The only thing that matters is what? Chat. What matters? Anyone? Power. Power. You can see what I'm mouthing. Power. That is all that matters.
Comfortable, fun. I mean, I'm wondering, chat. Only thing that matters is Cardi B. Everyone say it, Cardi B. We all know this. Like, I'm wondering, like, if you're listeners, the only thing that matters.
It really scares me when a man my father's age says, chat. I'm like, you shouldn't know about the chat. Who told you about the chat? Stay away.
Here he is explaining. As we know, the administration is ignoring justices who say, hey, what you're doing with Doge is illegal, and you need to cease and desist when it comes to accessing Americans' data, when it comes to firing federal workers, when it comes to not fulfilling contracts. That is the job of Congress, not you. And this is what Bongino had to say in response to that.
Donald Trump's the executive. He says we have a problem in the executive branch. Hold on to these payments. The judge can't order these. He's just making it up. So here's my suggestion. If liberals are okay with judges making up constitutional powers, are they okay with Donald Trump fabricating executive powers? How about this? How about Donald Trump in the East Room of the White House sets up a courtroom, like remember the Batman movie? Scarecrow has the courtroom. What was it? The Bane one. It was at the Dark Knight or whatever. That's what we need to do. We need to set up a courtroom. Donald Trump can sit there. He can even wear like the wigs they wear in the UK court system, and he can just start making judicial decisions. He can't do that, bro. The judge can't do it either. What's the difference?
I like that he led with, let's do what Bane did. Let's do that.
This made me, so I haven't seen The Dark Knight Rises, so I was like, I gotta watch this episode now. Because
I think I did, but it left me.
Yeah, it might have been one of those where you're just like forgot about. I'm halfway through it. It's okay. Then I just got into a rabbit hole and started watching James Adomian doing Bane on the Harley Quinn animated series, and it was really funny. But yes, him saying, let's do what Bane did. And also, judges have no jurisdiction. No, that's precisely what judges do. That's their whole point. Anywho, that's the FBI deputy.
it's just like, it feels almost like, it's pointless to make fun of him, but his eyes are 95% pupil, and like he's literally wearing a t-shirt saying, I am correct. Like you just did. I don't know.
Real, like, I love their, like, the Temu t-shirts that sort of just like, I'm an auntie, but not an uncle, quack dog. Like, the t-shirts that are like, what does this mean?
Who doesn't have this? It is very funny to me when someone just logs in and they're like, the famously the villain, I like that guy. And I work for him. You're like, okay, I guess that wasn't what the point of the movie was, but media literacy is in the mantle of the earth at this point. So whatever.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuationroom. Do